we're diving into accommodations, food, transportation, and sites. What did $10 per person per day get us for our 13 months of travel through Southeast Asia? Hey everyone!
Hey everyone!
Welcome back. I'm Ash.
And I'm Nikki.
And in case you missed it from our first couple videos, we are in the process of wrapping up our lives.
And heading overseas again to Asia.
Yeah, to resume long-term travel. So starting with maybe 6 months in India.
Sometime in Sri Lanka, then sometime in Nepal, then sometime in some other places, and who knows where we'll go. We'll see.
Taiwan, China.
Thailand, Vietnam. Places we've been before, places we haven't been.
Yeah. Okay, so in part 1 of this series, we talked kind of more generally about our philosophy for budget traveling. We talked about how much we spent in a full year of travel.
It was not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
We are budget travelers.
And we are still budget travelers.
Yes.
Maybe not quite as budget as last time, but definitely still really budget by most people's standards.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about kind of our goal budget for the upcoming trip, how we arrived at that number and why, and some things that are going to be a little bit different. So that was part 1.
And in this one, we are going to go a little bit deeper and kind of give some more concrete details about what our budget last time actually got us.
For our 13 months of travel through Southeast Asia. We've got pictures, we've got stories, and specifics. It's as close to spreadsheets as I could get without actually pulling in spreadsheets. Last time, if you remember from our first video, we mentioned that we traveled on a budget of $10 a day.
Per person.
Per person, $10 per person per day. And that included everything. It included accommodations, it included transportation, food, sites and things to see. So even while we were traveling and meeting other travelers overseas, a lot of people heard our budget at the time. And this was a few years ago. This was in like 2018, 2017. Even then, a lot of the folks that we met when, you know, we were talking about budgets and travel destinations and all the stuff that you yap about in hostels, people heard our $10 per person per day budget.
And they thought it was totally bonkers, totally wild.
Totally crazy.
And, you know, it can be for some people, right? If you want to, you can find anywhere in the world a drink for $10, and there's your daily budget for us.
Yeah.
But you can also stretch that $10 like we did and have some really amazing experiences.
Yeah. So I think as we talk about sort of how we're going to do this moving forward, it's important to talk about what that actually looks like last time. And
what did a day look like on a budget of $10 per person per day?
Yeah. What could you get for that?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we want to share with you today. Let's talk about accommodation. So when, you know, if the goal is $10 per person per day, to start, I will say that traveling as a couple is a humongous advantage. Because, for example, if you can find a dorm bed in Bangkok for $5, you may be able to find, you know, a very, very simple private room for $9. So
I would say 90% of the time, maybe more, we probably did private rooms rather than dorm beds.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you first get into a city and it's late at night, and you don't have something that's pre-booked in advance, like when we first got into Bangkok, for instance, we stayed in a dorm room with lots and lots of people. It was the easiest thing that we could find at the time.
Right.
And when you don't know a city that well and you haven't walked around and found the places that might not be on booking.com, It's easy, right?
Yes, it's easy, it's convenient, it feels accessible, especially as you're getting oriented to a place.
Right.
So I would say that whenever we go into a new city or a new place, we may end up spending more that initial night. We might spend part of that second day looking for other options. I would say if $10 a day was our budget, then maybe $5 per person, like about half of that was typically going to accommodation.
Yeah, and there was a lot of variability. You know, in some locations, it might be a lot more money than that per night, but in some places we might only be spending just $2 or $3
Right.
per night, each of us, for accommodations. So
The other advantage is certainly time. So if you are staying somewhere for one night, it may be a very different rate than if you're staying for 4 or 5 nights or longer even. So that certainly was an advantage, another advantage to being able to travel slowly. What did these rooms actually look like?
sometimes it was kind of funny. You know, there was one place we stayed and they didn't have pillows, but they did have pillow pets as the pillows.
We were
So that's always kind of one of our running jokes, is the room that had pillow pets.
right. I mean, you know, you're gonna get all over the map.
Yeah.
Like, so what $8 might get you in, you know, a big city in Vietnam may look very different than Myanmar. But I would say in general, if there was an option to forego air conditioning, we would typically opt for a fan-only room. Those are typically less expensive than air-conditioned rooms.
And I think a lot of people hear no air conditioning and they're automatically thinking that must be really terrible. And right now, in this moment, in South Florida, in the summer, when it's 90 degrees outside and there's a heat advisory, it does seem a little bit crazy to think about not having air conditioning.
It does seem crazy. I mean,
But I think there's also a point at which, when you've been traveling on a bus or a train all day, I don't know, your body just gets used to being warm, and a fan is totally fine.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, it's just something that you adjust to over time. And along that line, bathrooms, we typically shared bathrooms. Like, so for example, we would have a private room and then it would be a shared bathroom or a few shared bathrooms for the guest house that we were staying at.
A lot of times it just happened that we were traveling in the shoulder season or in the rainy season, and there were a lot fewer travelers in all of the places that we were visiting. So even though it was a shared bathroom, almost all of the time, it really wasn't a full house. We weren't sharing a bathroom with 20 or 30 other people.
Yeah.
And then there were some countries, like in Vietnam, I would say 98% of the time we had a private bathroom.
Yes.
Every room had air conditioning.
Yeah.
And the rooms were huge, the beds were nice, there was wood furniture.
Right.
It was a lot nicer than you would get at a budget hotel in the US, for instance.
Oh my God. Yeah. Along that line, it really depended on, in terms of booking, it really depended on the place. So for example, I feel like for Thailand, what was most economical was to walk around off of the main drags, off of the main streets, go in, talk to people, and oftentimes you would get a less expensive accommodation that way.
Right, especially if you could ask for what the rate would be for an entire week or even 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You would be able to get a much better rate than if you went online and just booked night by night.
Right, for sure. And then, you know, on the flip side though, in Vietnam, I think going through a website like booking.com or, you know, something along those lines, something similar, ended up being the more economical option because there was maybe more competition within specific cities.
Yeah, you know, when we got to Vietnam, it was after having been in Thailand, and I think the first few days or few weeks, we tried walking around, and it turned out that most of the time we were getting either the same rate that was online or even a worse rate.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We were like, we may as well book online, and it's locked in. We don't have to worry, are we going to have a room that night?
Right. For sure. So, I mean, I think this really comes down to kind of learning and being flexible as you go. I will say that before we stayed anywhere, we would often ask to see the room, just to have an idea of, you know, what our space would look like, what the bathroom situation would look like, and that would help us make an informed decision as well.
Right, and sometimes we would leave and go and look at a couple more places, and we would end up coming back.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And that's totally fine to do. I think a lot of people sometimes feel pressured to take the first room that they look at. They don't want to offend someone by saying, oh, we might come back. But,
Right.
you know, it's important to be comfortable. It's important to feel like you're safe where you're staying.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it's okay to walk away.
Yeah. It's okay to walk away. It's expected to, you know, to have those conversations. It's not considered, you know, strange or disrespectful. It's just part of the process. High season times are going to be more expensive. If you go in the middle of rainy season, then, you know, it
sometimes
might be
the
less
difference
expensive.
between a $10 room and a $20 room is just the month of the year that you're visiting.
I mean,
So-
to be fair, like, we like rainy season.
Yeah, I love rainy season. You know, we live in South Florida, and the climate here is very similar to the climate of all the places that we're planning to go to.
Yeah.
So rainy season works for me. I think it makes everything greener. It makes everything more lush.
Yeah.
You get a very different experience. And for me, I enjoy that experience. I like watching the rain.
Yeah.
I feel like it slows things down. It
For sure.
complicates things for sure,
Yeah.
but it definitely slows you down.
Yeah. No, definitely. I remember lots of great low-key days at the guest house with a book, just watching the rain and sipping coffee. And that is the type of slow living, intentional travel, slow travel that we're really looking for. So rainy season works for us, and also coincidentally works well for folks on a budget. So I'm thinking of that time in Vietnam when we were, I don't remember, going through the countryside, and it was about to start raining. So we stopped earlier in the day than we were planning to. And we stayed at this cute little nani. This is, you know, again, this is not a resort experience. And for us, that was better because we met the family that was running the guest house. And we made
When we
friends.
pulled in, you know, it was cold, it was rainy, we were all wet, our stuff was wet,
Yeah.
and they offered us tea.
We shared meals with them.
Yep, we shared meals with them.
They gave us
They
a
showed us
tour.
around.
Yeah.
You know, we went wandering through the villages with the family and had dinner with the family.
Right.
And we are friends with the family on Facebook to this day.
Today.
We celebrate milestones together with Facebook comments and
Yeah.
emojis.
Graduations,
Yeah.
birthdays, and things of that nature. So, I mean, this is just yet another example of the reason that we travel is to make connections and to meet people and to immerse ourselves in culture. And when you are at a walled-in, curated resort, like, yes, it may be cushy, yes, it may be super plush and comfortable, but I feel like you are less likely to have those experiences. So for us, this is
Right.
something
It's
that
those,
we
those
choose.
experiences make the entire trip, they make the entire time we're over there worthwhile for us.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. For us, definitely using public transportation. So things like local buses, typically without AC. I'm thinking of Bangkok specifically.
I think we were super intimidated by the bus system. We saw these super cool, old school style red buses all over the city. And it felt a little bit scary, you know,
Yes.
not knowing any of the language when we first got there.
Right.
How does it work? How much do they cost? This wasn't pre-internet days. We probably could have looked it up, but it felt a little intimidating, right? So it was only one of our later trips to Bangkok that we finally tried it out and realized, wow, this is super affordable. It's also super easy.
Right.
And it lets you get to parts of the city that would be hard to get to otherwise.
Right. I think that first time we did a lot of walking with our backpacks on in weather that's very much like South Florida, tropical, hot, humid, rainy. And it was really, really difficult. I think.
And then we realized you don't have to bring all your stuff with you every single day. You can leave it in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. You can take local transportation and get around just like the locals do.
Yeah.
And I think that first time we got to Bangkok, it felt so overwhelming. It was loud and chaotic.
Yeah.
And on our last trip to Bangkok, it felt easy. And I think that's just how life is, right? Things are overwhelming the first time you do them, and then you get the hang of it.
I think we kind of got a sense of the rhythm, and, over that year of traveling, we gained confidence in ourselves and our ability to figure things out. And for the bus system specifically, we didn't even have SIM cards to be able to know, when things were coming. We relied on, what did we rely on?
We had Maps.me.
Yeah.
Which still exists, and it was super awesome for offline maps. And there are parts of the world that Google Maps doesn't really have all of the roads mapped, and a lot of times Maps.me had much better maps for trails, hiking trails. We'd be in the forest and we were like, where are we? And we'd pull up Google, no idea. This road or trail didn't even exist, but it was on Maps.me.
Yeah.
For trains, we generally opted for the unair conditioned cabins, whatever the cheapest fare was. Yeah, trains are one of our favorite ways to see wherever we're at.
Favorite.
It's so nice. The windows open, you can read a book. A lot of times in places like Thailand or Myanmar, throughout the trip when they stop in a station, they leave enough time for folks to come onto the trains and sell meals. So you can almost always get a really, really affordable meal, maybe 10 baht, and you get a little dish of curry in Thailand.
Wrapped in like banana leaf. Oh my gosh. When you're having a long day of travel from, between point A and point B, just those little comforts.
Right. And getting to try food in different little places all along the way is such a cool experience.
Yeah. For me, I think that reflecting back on our first trip to Bangkok, the first time that I took my first deep breath was when we got on a train and left the city, and we're headed towards Kanchanaburi, which is west of Bangkok. But it was on this train that the countryside opened up, and there was that slow rocking.
Right, it's like a tangible shift in the pace of life.
Yeah, for sure. It just forces you to slow down, to look at your surroundings and appreciate, and just the little snacks and everything. It's just, for us, that's like a core memory of travel, is being on trains, not just in Thailand, but in other countries as well.
It's generally a super affordable way to travel.
Yeah.
If you're not opting for, those first class cars.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a $10 a day budget, I think a lot of folks envision this sad lifestyle where you're kind of eating ramen noodles at a hostel and you're not going out and experiencing the world or trying all of the amazing cuisine that's in all of these cool places. But I would say that's the furthest thing from the truth. When I think about food, we ate really, really well.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that, when any major city that you go to, of course, you can find Western fare. It's not that we never did Western food, but I would say 98% of the time, we were going to night markets, to morning markets. And I think for us, this is really where the heart and soul of a city is. It's where a community comes together.
You get to see cities waking up. You get to see those morning markets where people are going about their lives, and
Yeah.
You get to be part of that. You get to try the things that they're trying. And a lot of times it's very different from what you would be getting in the touristy restaurants that kind of stick to the basics that everybody orders because it's something that you can pronounce easily. Fried rice, pad thai.
Right. Yeah. And having two of us, again, there's an advantage because you can buy a couple of different things and split and share. So we would often do a few bags of rice and some bagged curries of some sort to split and share and take away. Bags of curry would be anywhere between like 50 and 60 baht. So maybe like a couple
they really
dollars.
ranged, you know, and it depended how much protein you wanted to get in your bag of curry.
For sure.
Or how good of a cut of meat. You know, the really, really, really cheap bags of curry might have a lot of bones in them, so you were really picking through bones. But if you spent a few cents more, you could get really good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And like morning markets are where we would often get our fruit. So you could get like an entire
huge bunch of bananas.
Yes, and there was like a special net on my backpack that I could just kind of like strap
It was like the designated banana net.
Yes.
The banana hammock.
Yeah. Exactly. Or, I mean, you could get like kilos of mangosteen.
Mm-hmm.
Kilos.
Right, kilos of mangosteen. And in the US, a kilo of mangosteen is like, what, $30 or $40 sometimes, if you can even find it in a super specialty grocery store. And these are fresh right off the tree. And, you know, you're spending a couple dollars a kilo at most, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. So
very easy to eat way too many rambutans and mangosteens and
lots of good stuff though.
Yeah. So when you're on a tiny budget of just $10 per person per day, what can you actually see? Do you still get to see all of the famous sites that make places famous? Yes, is the short answer to the question.
Spoiler alert.
We still got to see all of the really cool things, and sometimes we would stay for a lot longer and even spend a little bit more money at a place. You know, for instance, when we were at Angkor Wat, we opted for the 7-day pass rather than what most folks do, which is just a 1 or a 3-day pass, and it was more money.
Right.
But we spent 2 weeks in Siem Reap, and we got to go back to Angkor Wat on 7 different days out of those 2 weeks.
Right.
And we got to see all of the important stuff, and then also a lot of the smaller sites that a lot of folks miss.
So even though, you know, in that example, our costs were higher, we were spending more money, but the cost average over 7 days was a lot lower. So I think that it's not about whether you go, it's how you do it, right? So in this example, we rented bicycles. How many miles was it over the course of the week? It was like,
I think I've forgotten, but I want to say it was like 220 miles of bicycle riding.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But these were not, you know, ultralight titanium performance bikes. These were just clunky bikes.
Right. But a lot less expensive than, you know, a package tour.
Yeah.
Go to all the biggest temples at Angkor Wat for this price, like from this one to this one. So, you know, the benefit of that is, again, being able to go at your own pace, being able to get away from the crowds and really kind of experience, I think, what for us is like the intention of a space rather than like the curated experience of a place or just the photogenic parts of a place. So
when you're not on those package tours, I think that getting lost is part of the experience, right? You get to figure out where all of the things are rather than having someone take you right to the thing.
Yeah.
And it's while you're making your way across town on your own that you run into people and meet new folks that you would have never met otherwise. We were headed to the bus station actually to buy bus tickets to leave Kampong Chhnang in Cambodia. And this young monk in his saffron robes came up next to us and started talking to us. He said hello and was asking us all the basic questions that, you know, folks who are learning English ask you. Where are you from? What are your names? How old are you? Where are you traveling? And so we struck up a conversation, and he invited us to come back and see his temple.
Yeah, not only see his temple, but we actually spent the day with him and
all of the other young monks that were at this temple.
Yeah. And we got a tuk-tuk to share and went around to see, we went around with them to see all the cool stuff.
Right.
We went to the pottery village with them. And
Yeah, I think they had a really fun time, you know, playing tour guides and getting to show off where they lived for folks who were visiting.
And I think they also liked the opportunity to, I mean, not just like trade culture, but also to practice speaking English. They asked us to do a little impromptu English lesson with them. They had textbooks and everything like that.
And so we were up there on this platform teaching at the chalkboard with rows and rows of novice monks, and such a cool core experience that I feel like you don't get when you're on that package tour.
No, for sure. This is one of those, like, when you think about the reason we travel, like, that is exactly the perfect example of what draws us to travel.
Right, because travel is all about culture, right? It's about exchanging culture, sharing your culture with others, and also getting to soak up other folks' culture.
Right.
And so we are still friends with all of these monks on Facebook, and many of them have left the monkhood. Some of them are realtors now.
They're getting married. They're, you know, all sorts of...
It's so cool to have friends all over the world.
Yeah, definitely. So... So we've got a few months before we get out of here, and, you know, tell us kind of what part of this process feels most engaging for you or most interesting for you. I mean, like, are you looking for what it actually looks like the step-by-steps that we're taking? Is it more of the, like, emotions that go into it? Like, what would be helpful and interesting for...
Right, because, you know, when you're in a process, a lot of the parts can feel a little bit boring and mundane. And, you know, for me, I'm like, this isn't worth filming, this isn't worth sharing, but maybe those are the interesting parts that you would like to see. So if you want to see more trips to the thrift stores, if you want to see storage units.
Yes, like, and how you decide, like, what to keep versus what to give away. Or, for instance, like, if you're consolidating your entire life into a backpack, what goes in the backpack? Like, what are you going to bring? And, you know, you only have a select number of outfits to take. Like, do you care about that? Like, what?
And maybe, like, what kind of backpack are we bringing? You know, I love gear.
Nikki
and picking backpacks.
Nikki's the gear person.
It was kind of a letdown when I finished buying our bags. You know, what do I do now? Should I maybe get a different backpack?
Yeah. Do you want, like, the struggles of, like, what are we doing with our lives? Like,
do you want us to cry? Because we could cry.
I could. I don't know.
Ash could cry.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could, but.
So if that's something that anyone out there is interested in, let us know in the comments below after you've subscribed, of course, and given this video a big like. It really helps.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want us to go into more depth about how you can make long-term travel more of a reality.
Yeah.
Because we would love to expand on these things.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for coming along and sweating along with us.
Oh my
well, maybe
gosh.
you're not sweating, but we're
So
definitely sweating.
sweaty.
It's a good preview of what's to come.
Exactly.
There are definitely mosquitoes and hot weather in our future.
Yeah, and honestly, after filming this, I'm like, well, maybe, like, the no hot waters in the showers is actually not that bad. I could probably go for a cold shower right now. So, you know, it's just all part of the journey and the process. So we really want to build a community. So thank you for being with us in these, like, very early parts of the process as we sort of figure out.
It's really cool seeing people actually connecting with our video. And right now, as we're filming this, I think we have 104 subscribers.
Yes, we just hit like 100 a couple of days ago. So that was a really exciting.
Which feels both like a tiny number, but also like a really big number. Because if you think about it, can you imagine actually talking to 100 people?
No.
Having a party with 100 people?
No.
You know, as an introvert, I would never have a party with 100 people.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
So the idea that we're talking to 100 people right now is a little crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So, oh God. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Let's talk about let's talk about mosquitoes in Florida in the summer.
Right.